All right, what's going on, everybody? Or I should say, what's going on, Radrover owners and Himiway Cruiser owners? Because that's probably who's watching this video right now. But even if you don't have one of those bikes, you might find this interesting. Today is the day we get to see a Himiway Cruiser motor right next to, side by side, a Radrover motor. Ever since, I have both bikes. I have a Rad, I have a Hemi, and ever since I got the Himiway Cruiser bike, people have been asking me, what motor do you think is in there? What motor's in there? Because the Himiway is just a more powerful bike, right? So they wanted to know if the true 750 motor was in that casing or not. I did a video a while back where I swapped my Radrover motor. I'll put a link in the description. I took the original Rad motor out and I put in an aftermarket one. I bought an aftermarket Bafang 750 motor and put that in my Rad, and they were noticeably different when you took them out. The aftermarket one was huge compared to the original Rad motor. And I know there's a big to-do in the whole Rad community about the motor they use in there, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just here to show you what they look like. So, I did that motor swap. It made a huge difference. It gave the bike a lot more power. It gained almost like 10 miles an hour top speed doing that. So people have been asking me, can you open up the Himiway? Open it up. What's it look like inside? So success. I was able to get it open, and we're going to see it today. If you saw one of my last videos, my first attempt, I failed. And I try to stay as positive as a person as I can. So I'm not going to bore you with me complaining about how hard it was to get that open, but just know that it was pretty tough to get it open. The two motors I opened previously came right open in 2 minutes. The Himiway took me probably like 3 hours to get that thing cracked open. The screws were just in there really tight. And I asked you guys for suggestions on what to do after I failed the first time. And you all said the same thing. Put some heat on it and hit it with an impact driver. And I took your advice and we persevered. We got it open. Let me cut to the chase on how I did it. So I decided to add some heat. I wanted to be gentle with it, so I bought this. It's a battery-powered soldering iron because I wanted to do, not crazy heat on it, and I wanted to try to localize the heat on the screw as much as I could. So I was able to get 2 of the screws out with this. Ultimately, it just didn't have enough power, so I switched over to this, which is a little butane torch lighter, and I would put this on the screw in a way and kind of back and forth till I felt it was heated up enough, and then put the wheel on the ground and twist on the screwdriver with all my might. I did not use an impact wrench, screwdriver only, and just really cranked on it, and I got 3 more of the screws doing this method, and the 6th and final screw was just, I had messed it up too much. It was stripped, so I ended up just drilling the screw head off to get into the motor. But we are in there now, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Both side by side. This is the Rad. This is the Himiway. So Rad on the left, Himiway on the right. What do you think? I got to tell you, I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised. They're much closer in size than I thought they were going to be. The Himiway motor does look a little bit larger than the Rad. I don't know. And I should say this too. I know absolutely nothing about electric motors, okay? So I'm just here to show you a visual. I have no clue the differences between these motors. To me, this one physically looks a little bit larger. Now, just for fun, I'll put up on the screen when I did the motor swap of the aftermarket Bafang and the Rad, because that was a noticeable difference. You could never mistake those motors for each other. These, on the other hand, are much closer. Lifting them up, I didn't really notice a huge weight difference between them. This part of the casing here on the motor just seems a little bit larger than the Rads. They have the same planetary gears. This side of it, they have kind of different slots opening up inside the motor there. I don't know what you want to see here. There's not a whole lot of markings on these motors, but let's do this. There's a number stamped on each of the motors on the top. I'll put a picture on the screen of those numbers so you guys can have that. Okay, now I'll put on the screen the the casing here has numbers on it. I'll put those pictures on the screen of what the motor casings have written on them. And I'm not sure what else you want to see here. I mean, they're closer than I thought they were going to be. You know, there's a shot of the numbers on there. It's hard to get it in the light. There you go. That's the Rad. This is Himiway. Their numbers are right there. But there it is. So, you know, why is this Himiway so much more powerful than the Rad? I mean, it could have a lot to do with the controllers. I know the controller on the Himiway is, I think, a 25 amp, and the Rad's like 18, I believe, 16 or 18. So that has something to do with the power feeling. The Himiway has a larger battery. Maybe that helps out as well. I'm not sure. Someone that knows more about electric motors can maybe educate us in the comments section, the differences between these two. Like I said, I know nothing about them. All right, well, that's really all that I've got to show you here with the two motors. There's a side-by-side look at them. This is what the inside looks like of the Himiway wheel. If you're curious what they look inside there. I did get the rest of the screw out of the casing so I can, you know, put it back together. I'm going to go buy new screws, I think, though. I'm not going to use those same ones to put it back together. All right, there you go. Are you shocked? Are you surprised? Do you have any useful information about electric motors that you could see in that video that you can enlighten us in the comments section about the differences between these two? I'm a little surprised. I thought the motor would be a little bit larger visually than that. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about electric motors, but there you go. I did it. I cracked mine open so you guys could take a look and see what is in there. The next thing I'm going to say is I'll leave it open. It's going to take me a minute to find replacement screws. I'm going to leave it out of the wheel for now. That way, if you guys want me to come back and look at something or check something for you on it, I'm happy to do that. Just put it in the comments and I'll come back out here and look at it and try to tell you. I'm not going to take it any further apart. I don't want to dive into the internal workings of this motor. That's as far as I'm taking it apart. But if you want me to look at it in some way or look for a number or something on it, I'm happy to do that. Put it in the comments. Another thing I'll say is when you go to put these back together, I would get some of this white lithium grease. That's what's all over those gears in there. So I'm going to add some of this when I put it back together. And as far as taking it apart, my best advice to you would be, number one, use a little like butane torch to get it heated up, and I guess eat your Wheaties, because I still had to twist them pretty hard to get those screws out. And when I pulled them out, they were sticky. It felt like they were covered in honey. I don't think it was Loctite. I mean, it was some other kind of sticky glue substance holding this thing together. It was all over everything. So there you go. Himiway versus the Rad. Surprisingly similar, even though the performance is way different. I don't know. There you go. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it entertaining or helpful. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. If you have comments, please leave them. And that's it. Thanks for watching.